In this video, we're going to graph a quadratic function using the vertex, axis of symmetry, and intercepts. So which graph shown below is the graph of the function f of x equals x squared plus 2. So we've shifted the graph of y equals x squared up by 2. That's b. Match the function of f of x equals x squared minus 4x to one of the given graphs. So we know that it should have x-intercepts at x equals 0 and x equals 4. We also know that its axis of symmetry should be at x equals negative b over 2a. Should be 4 over 2 is 2. If we stick that in here, 2 times 2 minus 4 is 2 times negative 2 is a negative 4. So the vertex should be at 2, negative 4. That looks like C to me. Now let's go ahead and look at x squared plus 8x. And the vertex is going to be at negative b over 2a. So negative 8 over 2 is negative 4. And this is the same as x times x plus 8. So negative 4 times positive 4 is a negative 16. I need negative 4, negative 16. Zoom in here. Negative 4, negative 16 is there. And my x-intercepts are going to be at 0 and negative 8. That's there. So my graph is going to open up like this and like this. It's going to go through 0, 0. And the vertex is at negative 4, negative 16. And the equation of the axis of symmetry is x equals negative 4. This graph is concave up, it opens up. It has a y-intercept at 0. And the x-intercepts are at negative 8 and 0. And you'd have a graphing tool to help you graph this a whole lot better than my graph looks. So the domain is going to be negative infinity to infinity. The range is going to start at negative 16 and go to positive infinity. It is increasing from negative 4 to positive infinity, and it's decreasing from negative infinity to negative 4. Determine where it's positive and negative. So it's positive from negative infinity to negative 8. And union, let's see, there's 0 to infinity is the other piece where it's positive, and it's negative from negative 8 to 0. There we go. And look at number 4 here. This one's going to open down, negative x squared minus 2x. Let's factor out a negative x, and that's x plus 2. It's going to go through 0, and negative 2 is right there. And negative b over 2a is 2 over negative 2 is a negative 1. When I stick negative 1 in, that's 1 times 1 is 1. So negative 1 1, and it's going to open down like that. And again, the graphing tool is going to be a whole lot better than that. So this is going to be at -1, 1. Axis of symmetry is at x equals -1. It's concave down, it opens down. The y-intercept is again at 0, 0. The x-intercepts are at -2 and 0. And the domain of the graph is -infinity to infinity. The range of the graph is from -infinity, not included, to 1 is included. And the function is increasing on the interval from -infinity to -1, and it's decreasing from -1 to infinity. And the graph is is positive from -2 to 0. And it's negative from -infinity to -2, union 0 to infinity. That's B. And now let's look at x squared plus 4x plus 4. That's the same thing as x plus 2 squared. So it has an x-intercept at -2 where it touches the x-axis. It has a y-intercept at 4. Axis of symmetry is going to be where it touches the x-axis there. The vertex is at -2, 0. X equals -2. It's going to be concave up. When I go 2 to the right, I go 4 up. So when I go 2 to the left, I'll go 4 up. This is my parabola, looks like that. The x-intercept is x equals -2. The y-intercept is at 0, 4. The domain is -infinity to infinity. The range of the function is from 0 to infinity. The function is increasing from -2 to infinity and decreasing from -infinity to -2. It is positive everywhere other than at -2. So -infinity to -2, union -2 to infinity. All right. Now let's look at number 6. This is a -2 times x squared minus x plus 3. And ooh, that's did I factor that right? Yes, I did. And there are no factors of 3 that are going to add up to be -1. So my x-intercepts, if they ask for them, are going to have to be found by the quadratic formula. So let's go ahead and use the vertex formula, though, to say x is going to be -b over 2a for my x coordinate here. -2 over -4 is going to be 2 over 4 is a positive 1/2. And -2 times 1/2 squared plus 2 times 1/2 minus 6 is -2 times 1/4. Plus this is 1 minus 6. So that's -5, and this is -1/2 over 1. It's going to be 2 over 2. That's going to be -11 over 2 for my x value, or for my y value. So the vertex is at 1/2, and then -11/2. And then this is x equals 1/2. And this is going to open down. It's concave down because the leading coefficient is negative. And let's see if I have any x-intercepts here. I'm going to erase this so I can work that out with the quadratic formula here. And one of the things that's very powerful here when we're working with parabolas is to complete the square, because it helps us find our vertex and it gets us part way to the quadratic formula. And I might do that on this problem as an alternate way in just a second, just to show you how that would help us. But let's go to the beginning here, -b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a is going to give us a -2 plus or minus the square root of 2 squared is 4 minus 4 times -2 times -6 all over 2 times -2. -2 plus or minus the square root of 4, and then that's going to be -48 all over -4. I think you see that the inside of that square root is going to be negative, so there are going to be no x-intercepts. The y-intercept when x is 0 is going to be -6. And let's go ahead and put some of this on here. Make sure you can read this, that this says -11 over 2. So this is positive 1/2, and then -11 halves is right there. And then no x-intercepts because it opens down. So y-intercept is at -6. So I'm going down 1/2 when I go left 1, and I go down 1/2 when I go right 1, and it's going to look like this. So the domain is going to be -infinity to infinity. Upper bound here is going to be -11 halves for my range, and it's going to go down to -infinity. Increasing from -infinity to 1/2, decreasing from 1/2 to infinity, and always negative, and never positive, -infinity to infinity. So let's show you how to complete the square for this problem. -2x squared. Well, I've already started it by, not exactly. So let's go ahead, -2x squared plus 2x minus 6. I'll factor the -2 out of this part. Minus 1x, leave that -6 over there. Half of the middle number squared is going to be 1/4. -2 times 1/4 is -1/2, so I need to add 1/2 here. So -2 times x minus 1/2 squared, minus 11 halves. And there's where the x here that makes the parentheses 0 is 1/2. That x coordinate, and when that is 0, I get -11 halves left over. That's the y coordinate. If I set this equal to 0, to try and find my x-intercepts, then -2 times x minus 1/2 squared equals 11/2. X minus 1/2 squared is going to be -11/4. And I see that a perfect square equals a negative doesn't happen in the real world. So there are no x-intercepts here. Right, that's it for this video. We'll come back next time and we will start talking about chapter 3 with section 3.1. See you for the next video.